this, episode 5, The Best of SmallVille, or the Harvest Festival. So in this episode, there's the Harvest Festival. It's an annual thing where all the people of Smallville gather together. They share food and crops, which is funny because everybody like does the same crops. They share clothes. It's basically a street fair. Like it's a street fair where all the different farms and all the people come together to sell their merchandise and to give stuff to the people that need it. So, Clark is like super excited because he's just like, oh, the Harvest Festival, like I loved ever since I was a kid. He's thinking about situations back in the day with his mom. Lois has never seen it before. The kid's never seen it before. Jonathan, he invited his Metropolis girlfriend to the Harvest Festival. She was supposed to come down for the Harvest Festival. She later then called him. The two of them got into a conversation and she broke up with him. And I guess the toll of him being in Smallville and her being in Metropolis finally got to her, and the long distance relationship just wasn't working. So now he's upset and he's just like, yo, F the Harvest Festival, F Kansas, F Smallville. Like he mad at everybody. And then him and Clark get into an argument, and then he's just like, you know what, Dad, this place is stupid. And he's like, I want to move back to Metropolis with one of my best friends. And he's like, you're not moving back. He's like, you're not moving to Metropolis with a different family. You're gonna stay here. And he's just like, it's not fair. And then he gets mad and he walks away. He even got mad at his mama because his mom tried to talk him down, and she was like, look, honey, she's like, I know things are hard. He was like, Ma, you don't know shit. And then he got mad and walked away. So now throughout the episode, Clark was going through flashbacks. He was having flashback moments of when he was with his mom. And after his dad died, he was being difficult. He was giving his mom a little bit of a hard time. In an effort, I guess, to avenge his father's death or to do the right thing, he was going around town saving people. He had like a ski mask on, like in a hoodie, whatever. He was beating up criminals, beating up bad guys. His mom got into an argument with him. She was like, listen, honey, she's like, you're too young to go out there to be fighting crime. And he's like, but Mom, I want to make a difference in the world. And then, at the end, like they butted heads so much with him trying to be a hero and his mom trying to keep him safe. His mom eventually ended up letting go, and then she decided to allow him to move to Metropolis so he can become the person that he wanted to be. And listen, for Clark, like Clark knew that, so that's why when Jonathan was spazzing out, Clark didn't really take it personal because he kind of saw himself in that situation from when he was a child. Lois now, her and her editor, they're both at the Smallville Gazette. And the woman from about 2 episodes ago, the one that said that she couldn't find her son was working for Morgan Edge and then he disappeared. He actually ended up coming back. So like the son is back. The mom and the son went back down to the Gazette just to tell her like, hey, everybody, like my son's alive. And she's just like, thank the heavens. And we're just going to walk away from the story. Lois, obviously both of them thought that was weird because they was like, first of all, like somebody tried to kill your ass. Like Morgan Edge straight up tried to kill you. Your son magically shows up and you just want to drop the whole situation. And she was just like, yeah, she's like, just write an article about my son being alive. She was, like that's all that matters. So obviously Lois was just like, you know what, we know it's bullshit, but there's nothing we can do about it now. So let's just fall back and, and wait and see what happens. Her editor though, she didn't, she wanted to keep digging into it because despite the fact that she's the boss and she's the editor and Lois works for her, she desperately wants to be like Lois Lane. So she continued to kind of like investigate it. She went talking to the mom a little bit more. She got a cell phone because like the mom and the son shared a cell phone plan. She got the location of where the son was because she wanted to investigate to him and see what he was doing. So she follows the son, she gets his location, she goes like to some weird random like warehouse, and she sees the son in an alley making out with the redheaded woman that works for Morgan Edge. And obviously this woman, she 2-3 episodes ago, she came busting into the Gazette, and then she was just like, you can't be posting no stories or your contract, we're gonna sue your ass. So now she knows something's up because if the kid used to work for Morgan Edge and he's now making out with the person that works for Morgan Edge, she's just like, all right, I'm gonna keep following them because clearly something bad is going on. The son and the mom ended up going to because for the Harvest Festival there was an office that was taking in clothes, like for the homeless. So the mom and the son, they ended up donating clothes. And then Lana, when she got their names, she was like, oh, you're the person, that went missing. She was like, we're glad you're back. We're happy to have you back. The guy ended up having like some headaches. Like he started like, wigging out a little bit. He went into a room, like into a private room. And then all of a sudden like heat vision kicked in, and then he burnt the entire building down, and they had to call the fire department, which was sad because that whole building was full of like, clothes and supplies, like for homeless people. But the guy accidentally burnt it down with his heat vision. So now he's freaking out, which is what made him go talk to the Morgan Edge woman because he's just like, yo, I'm unstable, I'm about to explode. The Morgan Edge henchman, she brings him, to like this Morgan Edge facility that has a machine in it. She puts him in the machine, and I guess it was supposed to stabilize him because obviously the guy took like, what is it, Kryptonite X? Like, he has Kryptonite X in his system. So clearly the Kryptonite X is what gives everybody like their superpowers. It's what gives normal human beings their superpowers. So the machine, I guess, was supposed to, it was either supposed to stabilize him or increase his power. It definitely did not stabilize him, and it definitely increased this dude's power. So now the guy's power, he went from having like heat vision to now he has full blown Kryptonian powers. He has super strength, he can fly, but he's also a little crazy and he's a little unstable. Like Lois's editor, she sees that and then she's freaking out. She's like, oh my God, I gotta call Lois. During the entire situation with, with the mom and the son and Lois and, and the editor trying to investigate it, we find out that Captain Luthor, he's been following Lois throughout the entire episode. Like he's creeping on her while she's at the Gazette. When she was talking to the fire department about, about the building burning down, like he was there as well. And he even walked up to her and introduced himself. The two of them had a nice little conversation. He was just like, hey, like I know that, you're friends with Superman because every time you're around, he always seems to show up. And she tried to downplay it. She was like, well, Superman, like he saves everybody. He's there for everybody. He's just like, yeah, but you're the one that writes about him. You do stories about him. And every time you're in trouble, he's always there. So I guess you and him are like close and like, who he is. So like I said, but he was trying to stay close to Lois Lane. They even exchanged numbers because he was like, hey, I'm a reporter too. So if I find some information digging into Morgan Edge, he was like, I'll let you know. Maybe we can sit down and have a coffee, and talk about it. Which I thought was weird because in the beginning I felt like he was just warming up to her because he knew that Lois, because he knows that Clark Kent is Superman. So I'm assuming he's just warming up to Lois so he can eventually use her to get at Clark, for whatever reason. But we find out later on that that's not the case. So now we're at the Harvest Festival. Everybody's at the Harvest Festival. Jonathan ends up getting drunk because like he's still mad that his girlfriend broke up with him and that he's living in Smallville. Jordan, he's talking to Sarah, and then Sarah, she's kind of, like she's feeling some kind of way because her parents had gotten into an argument earlier, and then she got mad at her dad because her dad's like drinking all the time, and she lives in a very like stressful like home environment. So for her, getting to the Harvest Festival and talking to Jordan was a way for her to get, to get all the stuff out of her system. So then while she's trying to deal with all her personal family issues, especially with her dad being drunk and her parents arguing because of her dad being drunk, Jonathan's drunk ass shows up, starts making a fool of himself. She gets mad, she curses Jonathan out, and then she walks away. And then Lois and Clark, when Jonathan and Jordan started walking towards Lois and Clark, Jonathan, like Clark knew right out the gate that Jonathan was drinking. And then, he told Lois, he was like, oh my God, he's been drinking. And then Lois just ran up on him, grabbed him by the shirt. And she was like, have you been drinking? And she's like, the whole town could smell the booze on you. And then she's like, you and your brother go home, right now, you're grounded, young man. Then like the two of them go home. So then at that point, that's when Lois's editor called her. And then she was just like, yo, I tracked the son down to this warehouse. He's with the Morgan Edge girl. And she just put him in some machine and he wigging out. He's starting to fly. I don't know what's happening. And then, while she's talking to him, Clark was ear hustling on the call. And then Clark zoomed down, to where the warehouse was. So now Clark, he sees the guy attacks him. The two of them get into a sky fight. They're fighting in the sky. Clark's trying to calm him down because he's like, yo, you don't know what you're dealing with these powers. And he's like, yo, forget you, Superman, I'm gonna kill you. And then, while the two of them are flying around the city, Captain Luthor is driving around. He sees both of them. I don't think Captain Luthor knew who was who. His equipment just registered 2 Kryptonian beings in the sky. So, and he's trying to kill Superman, so he didn't know who was who. So he just took a bazooka and shot both of them. So he fired the missile. The missile exploded, knocked both guys out of the sky, and then Superman hit the ground, and then like the sun hit the ground, and then Clark tried to talk him down. Superman was just like, hey, listen, like I can help you. You don't have to be a villain. You don't have to go around hurting people. And then the sun was just like, it's too late for me. He was like, I'm already gone. And then he spontaneously combusted and he exploded. Captain Luthor actually ended up showing up because he was gonna bust Clark in the ass. He came with the pistol, or whatever, ready to shoot him. But by the time he got there, Clark had already left. So now Captain Luthor is just like, all right, I'm gonna get you next time, Superman. And then he gets in his car and he drives off. So then now the Kent family, they're home. They're talking about how like the Harvest Festival, it basically turned into shit, and it didn't turn into what they thought it was. Clark spoke to Jonathan and he was like, listen. He was like, we're not going to ground you, although you got drunk and tried to curse out your mama. He's like, I'm not going to ground you because he said, when I was your age, I remember when you were me. He said, I remember when I was with my mom, and I remember when I had to leave home because I wanted to be someone different. He's like, I understand what you're going through. He said, all that I ask is at least let the school year play out. Just give it this 1 year. And if you're still not happy, and if you still hate Smallville, then he's like, then we'll try to figure something out for you. But until then, he was like, just do what you gotta do, and then like I said, we'll see how everything works out. So that was it for that. Like everybody was happy, and then the next day, the town ended up having a memorial for Clark's mom, because they said that Martha Kent, she was the glue that held the entire city together. She always sat on this one specific bench. Everybody talked to her, everybody liked to get her advice, everybody loved her. So they put his mom's picture on the bench with her name on it. So that bench is an honor, it's a memorial to Martha Kent. So Clark was happy about that. And then he had like an old memory of when he left Smallville for the very first time, and he said goodbye to his mom. Him and his mom were both sitting on that very same bench. So then both he and Lois were sitting on the bench, and they were just like, just talking, like hugging each other, being lovey-dovey, being married. And then you see Captain Luthor creeping in the background, and he's looking at them because Captain Luthor has like this little AI thing. We'll just call it his Gideon. And then he looked over and he got really upset because he knew that on this Earth, for some reason, wherever Lois Lane goes, that's where Superman is. He knows that the two of them always follow each other. He knows Clark Kent is Superman. He didn't find out until that moment Superman and Lois are actually a couple, and they're actually together, which pissed him off royally. And then we saw flashbacks from him on his Earth. He and Lois were actually together, and Superman was the villain. Like Lois Lane was like his love interest. So, and then the Gideon device tried to tell him. She was like, "Well, Captain Luthor, it's not the same Lois from your Earth." And then he was like, "Damn it, everything about her is the same." He said, "She's an exact replica, an exact copy. She is exactly the woman I love. The only difference is that she ended up with Superman." And I'm just like, yeah, but there is no but like if this is Lex Luthor from a different Earth, I'm like, Lex Luthor on this Earth is white. So I'm like, technically he's just like, oh, everything about her is the same. But I'm like, but you're not the same. You're the outsider in this whole thing. Like he doesn't realize he's the one that doesn't belong here. But he's still trying to get. It's almost like with the Flash, like where we just had an episode of the Flash where Kadabra was trying to get revenge on the Flash for wiping away his family, like from Crisis. Like all these Crisis mistakes, like all these little Crisis like hangovers, they're coming back for their revenge. Even Batwoman did it last season when Beth from a different Earth came back here. So we're still feeling the effects of Crisis here, people. There's still some Crisis stuff happening, which is cool though. And I said which is cool because it makes for more interesting stories. Supergirl's supposed to be coming back, next week anyway. So now we're basically gonna have two Luthors, but the black Luthor goes by a different name on this particular Earth. I forgot what the name was. So that's it. So then in the end, Jonathan, he's talking to Sarah again, and then both of them decided just to be friends, for a while, because the girl got some emotional baggage and she ain't ready for no boyfriend. I mean, he's emo anyway, so he's gonna be like, sure, whatever, as long as I get to as long as I get to smell your be in your presence and smell your hair, whatever. He starts walking home. And then the Asian kid from the football team, the one that had like the cast on his arm, that was doing like the arm shaking thing, he just speeds up out of nowhere and just punches Jordan in the face. And then he's in the forest now whooping Jordan's ass, talking about, you're the one that did this to me. And then that's how the show ended. So that was it. That was like I said, that was pretty cool. It was nice to see some Martha Kent. It's nice to see things that Clark did as a child, to see like what things that he went through as a child. Jonathan's still dealing with the whole thing about being in Smallville. I know I'm the one that said I still agree with this. I still feel like at some point Jonathan will end up with superpowers. Now, I was talking to my brother about it. He told me that he feels that because now we're doing X-Kryptonite, and because Jonathan has this whole thing now where he's jealous that he's the only person besides his mom that doesn't have superpowers, maybe Jonathan ends up coming in contact with X-Kryptonite and then he gets powers due to the X-Kryptonite. That's a good theory as well. Or maybe the X-Kryptonite will give him powers, or it will jumpstart the power cells that already live in his system. All I'm saying is, regardless if it's X-Kryptonite or it's through natural causes, the boy gonna end up with superpowers before the season's over, and that's definitely a fact. So so thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think about Jonathan Kent. Like, does he have powers? Will he get powers? Does he not get powers? Let me know what you think about Captain Luthor and how hard he's gonna pursue Lois Lane. Is his whole motivation killing? Like, does he really want to kill Superman because Superman destroyed his planet, or is it really just I just want to kill Superman because he's having sex with the woman that I used to have sex with back on my planet? So like I said, leave a comment down below, share your thoughts, and we'll talk about it. Check out my other videos. Check out my Justice League, Snyder Cut reviews that I have on my channel as well, broken up into 4 different parts. Check out my reviews for Batwoman. Check out my reviews, for The Flash. Black Black Lightning's on a break until mid-April. Superman is now officially on break, and Superman's not coming back till May. We're not getting Superman and Lois till May, but Supergirl comes back next Tuesday, so we'll be covering Supergirl in that time slot as well. So take care, guys. And again, up, and away for Superman and for the Harvest Festival. I'm out this bitch.